guest today is a former first responder whose job as a police officer involved responding to emergencies, protecting the public, investigating crimes. Now, Christine Catalogna teaches people to find their calm using the breath and to strengthen their bodies. After navigating challenges of her own, this led to a curiosity about the intersection of yoga and trauma recovery. This led Christine to develop an interest in guiding people on their own journeys to find mind-body wellness. Over the past couple of years, Christine has been sharing yoga with women who are recovering from trauma in Sydney's Mount Druitt. She's also recently opened her own studio, and today she joins us to share the wisdom that she's learnt along the way. Thank you so much for joining us today, Christine. I'm really excited about the chat that we're going to have today. Can you start by telling us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Christine, nickname's Kat. I am 38 years old. I have two kids. They're 14 and 12, Lucy and Chloe. At the moment I live out in the Hawkesbury and I've just opened my own yoga and fitness studio. But before that I was in the police for about 12 years. I left about 7 years ago and that's kind of me at the moment. Dog, cat, other things in life, but that's about me.
And you were obviously in a very demanding position. You were a first responder working in the police force and you found yourself curious about techniques for nervous system regulation and mind-body wellness. Could you talk to me a bit about that journey?
Yeah, so when I was in the police, I feel like the mind-body techniques I might have had there were just like guided breath work. And I used an app, so it was very sort of controlled and it was very solo. It was just me. And then the yoga that I was sort of doing when I was in the police too was at a gym and it was very sort of physically based and it was but I loved it. For the whole hour I was in that class, I was completely in my body and breath and it gave me a lot. I remember being at the end of classes and going like for that whole time I didn't think about anything apart from being in the space. So that was when I was in the police, and then since I've left, I guess it's grown and I've learnt, a whole bunch of other techniques, which is now sort of in my day-to-day. Yeah.
And so in the beginning, it was about the intense physical activity that kind of gave you some spaciousness in the mind, and then it evolved. Can you talk to me about the impact of some of the practices as you went along in that journey?
Yeah, sure. So I guess at the start when my nervous system was really, I guess I'll say when it was high, when everything was sort of, when I was kind of just getting by day-to-day stuff because everything else was just up here, I needed the high intensity physical stuff to then feel like I had some control. So I was running, I was like trying to flip up into handstands, like I was really pushing. And then when I left the police, and I think at that time I would have really loved some softness and some let's tune into your body right now and let's see if we can, soften. But I didn't get that. So then it was only after I've left that now it's a mix of I guess it always comes back to my body, like where I am and what my body needs. But now it is other aspects of yoga, the more gentle aspects of like the asana practice, and I guess just breath work in general. But I've been to some breath work and it keeps it quite high. The breath work that I've used that has helped has been really sort of grounding and centering and calming. Because I didn't know that I needed that, but that's what I needed. Yeah.
And can you talk to me about what the impact was when you did finally discover those practices? How did that happen and what was that like for you then?
Yeah, okay. So I actually have to thank my psychologist at the time was probably the person who, so I love it. She was a very good psychologist by the book and taught me all of the things I needed to know in terms of, I'll say like clinical psychology or what I was diagnosed with or whatever. But at her heart, she was a yogi. and like loved all things yoga and loved that kind of life. Like I remember the clothing she'd wear was really eccentric and she was just this vibe. So she was the one who then, I think the first few times got me to, if I was having a feeling in my body, you know, just notice where it was. And that whole like, let's just notice, like you don't have to do anything with it. Let's just notice. Oh, like that was huge. And it was a little bit scary at times, but it was more so, it was just something new, I guess. It was something that I didn't know that I needed. And then she has, I guess, just a lot of like little gentle things that she's sort of popped in through the way then really helped, I guess, my day-to-day and how I sort of coped with things. She's then led me to the Yoga Impact Charity. So then I've learned all those like evidence-based techniques in my yoga teacher training, which then was helpful for me because I was a little bit of a, police officers can be like a little bit skeptical and a bit sort of, I need evidence to see that this is working first. So having that backing with all of these beautiful soft techniques that I thought were really helping, but having that sort of backing and going, this is why it works and this is physiologically what it's doing to your body, I guess that helped me then stay with them as well and want to share them now. But yeah.
And can you talk to me about what the most powerful practice is for you? What is a go-to that you return and why?
Yeah. It's just a really simple one and it just keeps on coming back to like where in the body is it. It's noticing, it's coming in, whether that be then me physically connecting with a part of my body or it's just noticing my breath or just like thinking about my feet. Just go, hey, what are your feet doing? Like, can you like soften them? What are your thighs doing? Can I like soften? How are your shoulders? Like, yeah, that one I probably continue to come back to and that's probably a big one. And then that can happen through all my day-to-day. So even if I'm in my own yoga practice, I'll be like, hold on, are you just moving your body or are you actually like feeling it and moving with your breath? So yeah, I guess just learning to be inside and like to really sort of have that mind-body connection properly, which I thought when I was doing hard yoga, I was doing it because I'm like, no, look at my shapes I'm making. But yeah, no, coming back in.
And that awareness, it sounds like such a simple thing,
Yes.
but is so deep and complex because within that then you start to notice, oh, well, actually there's these habit patterns, there's tension here, there's this, I'm just noticing that, oh, can I soften into that a little more? And it just is such a journey in itself. What a beautiful practice.
Yeah, it's been really helpful.
Yeah. And can you tell me about the police force or first responders more generally? Why do you think practices like this might be useful in that context?
So when it comes to the police force and first responders, I feel like that kind of side is too, I don't really like this word, but it's a way to sort of say it. It's like too woo-woo and they go, big generalization, but lots of them don't want to do that or they think it's too soft or they'll think it won't help. So I guess by me getting them, by bringing mind-body practices like yoga or any sort of movement where we're sort of thinking about our breath and our body and where we're at in the room or in the chair or on the mat, even if you're doing it without sort of saying that, hey, we're actually wanting you to check in right now and we're wanting you to come in. I feel like starting there will be super important, or just a way in, I guess. And I guess the importance of it is that it would just be nice to catch it before it gets too much, you know? I feel like being able to get them to not use just their minds to push forwards and notice their bodies more and be like, okay, hold on, do I need to pause? Do I need to step back for a second? Can I settle? Or, hey, what is going on right now? Like, and then, you know, and if that's through yoga or through something physical, then amazing. Like, yeah. So being that gateway for them and catching it early would be beautiful.
Because I can imagine there are a lot of circumstances in day-to-day duty where the nervous system is really hyper-aroused, and I can imagine that at various points that kind of builds over time the longer that you've been there, if you don't have a way to kind of manage or understand yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't. So for the whole 12 years I was in the police, I definitely didn't. And the yoga that I was doing, it was a very physical-based, just asana part of yoga. It was not, we had a little bit of pranayama, like a little bit of breath work, but it wasn't anything more than that. I didn't have anything that was then settling me. I just had things that were bringing me up. And I remember a few times, like without going into any, not nice stories, I remember there was a few times where I know my body didn't want to be, like my body didn't want to move even into a certain situation. Like I remember like I physically did not want to move where I had to move into, and we have to, like we made our body do something that our heart and mind did not want to do. Or our heart definitely didn't want to do, our nervous system didn't want to do, I guess. And then we don't fix it though. We just keep going, and then you go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So yeah, it stays high. Yeah, it stayed high.
And cumulatively over so many years without techniques, I can imagine that absolutely takes its toll and for anybody and is incredibly challenging. And so collectively, I can imagine that some of these techniques would be really useful.
Yes, they would be. I would have loved it if at one of the stations I was at there was some sort of morning yoga. I would have been one of the ones that probably would have done it. There's going to be a lot that don't. But yeah, it would have been nice. I might have been a little bit scared to open anything, but I would have tried it. Like I would have been happy to step in. So yeah.
So creating a culture that for first responders, mind-body practices are a normal part of work, that's obviously going to be difficult given you've said that there probably wouldn't be a lot of uptake. What kind of strategies do you think would overcome some of those barriers? Do you have any ideas about what would shift that?
I feel like just making, I guess it leads into what I said earlier about the evidence-based stuff. Police, and I think other emergency services too, it's not just police, but we're taught to look for evidence. Like we're taught to look for, hold on, like we just need it to be black and white. Like we don't like any grey. We don't believe any grey. And I say we, so long ago I shouldn't say that, but we don't believe in the middle part. Like it's either yes or no. There is that terrible stigma too of just push through, and there's like certain influences that just push for just stay hard. And
as a way to cope maybe with.
Yeah, as a way to cope, or just to stop being weak, and that's just, it's sad. So I guess having that evidence-based information to support whatever then we're trying to bring in would be super important first. Having like a yoga teacher show up and being like, hey, we're going to run through some mind-body practices, let's go, without then maybe some sort of, hey, we're doing this because of XYZ and, this might really help. Even saying the word help, then they might not want to think that they need help. So it's really tricky. Making it something that's really common, trying to get a lot of people on board, that's probably going to be a big one, because you might implement this really great program that has all this really deep, beautiful stuff to it. But if only a couple of people are taking it up and those couple of people are seen as being those, it's just not going to land. Making it common, making it acceptable, making it really accessible, and making it probably simple might be a way forwards for them.
And why did you decide to become a teacher? You've obviously had a really transformative experience yourself. How did that then shift your vocation?
Yeah, it's a big change from police officer to yoga teacher. And I love it. It sounds always a little corny when I say it, but I did join the police to help. So I did join to help, and I loved what I did. Like, I loved it so much. And I miss it. And that's probably what this is. Like, I really do miss everything I did, all the help I did, all the people I supported, all the people who I just had an extra, 10 minutes with when they needed it, or hours with, or visited them at home, or whatever I did. So I loved that helping side of the police. So then when I lost the police because I couldn't do it anymore, and I know I can't do it anymore, and that's okay. It's funny because I then came into yoga because I already did yoga, and I was already like strong at yoga, and I already had that. So then it was my psychologist who led me to Yoga Impact Charity. And then, not just because you're in the room with me, your teacher training program was amazing, and it gave me the confidence in my own teaching, but also mostly gave me confidence in my journey and to use that to then move forwards. So I don't think I was expecting that. I think I was just going in expecting to learn about how to teach yoga and to learn some sequences to then teach other people. I didn't think that I was going to, dive into it as deeply as I did and learn how what I have can then help. So I then was the first person to demo the sun salutations, which I'll remember forever, because I was like, if I don't do this now, then I won't ever do it. And then I got offered the opportunity to teach the group of women from the Wash House in Mount Druitt, and it came up immediately after the yoga teacher training program. So I feel like all the things just kind of happened really perfectly for me. Like, the teacher training program was timed really right. The program came up and I just dived into it. It took me a little while and took me to have some jitters and sort of figuring out what kind of yoga I wanted to teach and how I was as a teacher. But then those first little glimmers of like, oh, I can help people in this space. And like, these women would come to me and have their little talks at the start of class or the end of class about how great the class was, not because of what we did, but because of what they got from the class. Like, that's when I think I then was like, oh, I can help people here. Like, yay. And I don't think it was a cognitive thought, but I think that's what I was getting from it. And then that's now built and built and built. So yeah, I think now when I look back at why I like being a teacher, I do like speaking to people and I do like teaching people, but I guess the biggest thing that I like is being the person that is there for them, or creating the kind of environment that's safe for those people to then do their practice. Even if it's a really, really strong, hard practice, I'm still doing it in a really safe way. So yeah, I guess that was like how I became a teacher, but then why I think I like being a teacher is genuinely, it's just back at, I want to help people.
I'm glad that you said something before that, even if it's a really strong practice, that you're going to guide it in a really safe way. Because I think there's a real misconception that, if you're sharing trauma-informed yoga or kind of thinking about that in the back of your mind, that it's a particular way and it's super gentle. Or can you talk to me a little bit more about that? What do some of your classes look like? What's the variety look like in the diversity?
Yeah, okay, cool. I just got goosebumps. Because there was one lady just the other day, she thought she couldn't do something. Like, she's talked to me a lot about her weight, but she's coming to the hot power class, hot power yoga, which is our hardest class of the whole thing. There's classes with dumbbells, there's classes with like circuit work, there's fitness classes in there too, and then we have our gentle yoga and yin. But there's this hot power yoga, which is really hard. And lots of people who have tried the strength classes still say that the hot power yoga is really, really hard. So that's how hard it is. And there is this challenge part at the end of the class, which it's a complete option. People can be in their Shavasana if they want to. They can stretch. I give them so many options, and I feel like I'm always talking too much because I just want to make sure that everyone has an option to feel comfortable. But the sort of peak option is us coming to a wall and almost coming into an inversion. So we're walking our legs up the wall and holding onto our hands. And she was just like smiling at me in disbelief before we were doing it. And I was like, just, put one leg up on the wall and then bring it back down. Doesn't matter. Like, just try. Anyway, she put her feet, and when we're all in it, and it's just for this little chorus of a song, so we make it kind of fun and whatever. And she got both legs up on the wall. And I was like, yes. And so we're all like really excited. Anyway, we come back down at the end of the class. She was tearing up. I'm tearing up. And I'm like, you did it. And she's like, what a win. So she's walked away going like with so much more than just putting her legs up the wall, like so much more. There's like so many different bodies too in our classes. There's some younger, like fitter looking bodies. And so I think for her to come in and be one of the ones that went up the wall, like, yeah, she's left with much more than just coming and doing some yoga, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. That sense of confidence and exploration and challenge and overcoming. And
for sure.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about your impacting community, which you mentioned before, and the classes that you did teach at Wash House in Mount Druitt. I want to hear a little bit about your approach and also some of the groups that you worked with and what the impact of the techniques was.
Yeah, okay. There was just such a big range of different women, like from all different places in the world, from all different places in life, from all different places emotionally as well, all in one space. There was a couple of times where someone would need to come and sit in a chair. There was some times where someone would sort of sometimes do like a little bit of their own thing and that would be fine, So there was just a whole lot of things happening in the one room, but I encouraged that. Like I wanted it to be somewhere where people could come in and there was enough options, but it wasn't confusing because there was a lot of language barriers there too. So I was demonstrating everything and it was great because it's taught me how to really teach clearly. But yeah, what I wanted from that and what I think that they got from that was, yes, we were there for the hour of yoga. And we did move our bodies and we did do a little stretching, and some people wanted to just lose their belly fat and we'd do some, some sort of harder things sometimes. And so people would come for all these different reasons, but they would chat after class, or that's the only thing they did that week, they'd tell me. Or they would like look forward to it when we had the little break over school holidays, and like that's what they wanted to come back to. So yeah, I guess knowing that then I helped create that space for those people in their lives, and then those little ripples from all those little people when they go back out, like that was pretty cool to know as well, that I've had that impact on their hour or their day.
And what were some of the techniques that you could see were really landing with the group of women that you were teaching?
Yeah. So at the start, I think I tried to do it into a sequence, and I would plan it a little bit more, and then I had to let that go because it was a much better practice if I was much more attuned to how the class was on the day. And I realised that it was much better to do really like it's hard to not do it while I like sit here and demo, but like things that to get them to stay in their breath, if we then moved our arms, and it was so simple on our inhale and then our exhale, like something so simple just to keep them in their breath. And if their arms got tired, they could drop their arms, obviously letting them settle if they needed, but continually moving with their breath, but in a really gentle way to get them to stay with it was probably something that I always tried to keep in. And then at the end of class, we'd always do a really long guided meditation. Usually it was just a body scan because of English being a second language. For some people, it was too hard if I was going to come off with some big yoga nidra script or anything like that. So we'd normally just do a body scan, which I think eventually they really got used to. And then the physical touch, actually, that's probably the biggest one. So when I tried to introduce that at the start, I think everyone was a little bit nervous. And then it got to a point where everyone wanted it. So I had these little, I'll tell you what it is in a second, but we had these little permission flowers, these little daisies, the little plastic daisies. And at the start of class said, take a daisy if they wanted the reset at the end of class. So it was very permission based. If they didn't want it that day, they just didn't take a daisy. Even I said to them, if you've taken a daisy and you've changed your mind, just tell me. Like, I was very aware. But they'd just be laying there at the end of class in their shavasana, and I'd come by and I'd sort of watch their chest rise, and then I'd press down on their, just up on their upper shoulders or upper chest on their exhale, and then give them a little bit of a head massage to finish, and then put my hand on their forehead, and then there was a spray that I like to spray, and I sprayed that above them. And it turned into just like their most looked forward to part of the practice, which was really cool. Like, it was really beautiful. I think after class too, like the first few times, like how they'd share with me how much that touch meant to them. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Well, there's a lot of evidence about the impact of touch and the healing benefits.
Yeah.
And it's really great hearing about the way that you incorporated that in such a safe and trauma-informed way.
Yeah, for sure. And I've carried that through now to my studio. So it was something that I thought I'd only keep there. And then I was kind of like, they might want it too. So yeah, I've kind of kept it with me. But yeah, it was really special to bring it into that world first.
So obviously you are working in communities where women have experienced trauma. You've opened your own studio. Mm-hmm. You're a former first responder yourself. Safety is obviously in the forefront of your mind when you're sharing these techniques. How do you hold space in a safe way, or as safe a way as you can?
Okay. So yeah, even in Soul Strength, or my studio now, I still teach every single class, even if it's a Pilates class or a strength class. I still teach every single class in a trauma-informed way. But it's like, I feel like it's an easier thing to do, and it's a shame that it's not how most instructors are taught. But yeah, really simple ways that I do it in class. Like, I look at the lyrics of every single song before I play it. I make sure, really simply, like, make sure I don't say any words, whether it's a word that's just describing how we're sort of flopping our arms down to the sides, or, you know, how we're laying on our backs at a particular point. Like, there's certain words that you can just easily avoid. And then I feel like the biggest thing is making sure that people don't have to do anything that they don't want to do, and that making sure that at no time anyone feels stuck anywhere. So even if that's in Shavasana on your backs at the end of class, like, I don't want to feel like, because I've been stuck there. I've been laying on my back feeling stuck and frozen at the end of class, and it sucks. So I said it this morning, actually, I was like, I feel like I give too many options, but oh well. Like, just making sure that everybody is okay with still it being their practice, even though I'm leading it, knowing that they have control the whole time. Yeah.
And you've recently opened your own studio.
Yes.
What can people expect when they come in to visit the studio for the first time?
Yeah, so we have tried to create a really nice, welcoming, like, spaces in the actual studio itself. It's really light and bright when you walk in. There's lots of things to kind of keep you comfortable. We've got tea and fruits and everything that you'd want to just sort of settle in. And then, though, when you enter into the room, into our mat room, whether it's heated or not, doesn't matter what kind of class it is, the lighting's really low. So it's not dark enough that you, hopefully, that you don't feel uncomfortable, but it's just kept that way so that it's just a little lighter. Like, it's just, lighter in terms of, like, energy, I guess. It's just a little softer. I want people to come in and kind of go, okay, like, I'm comfortable and I'm safe here. Yeah, so I hope that's what people feel like when they walk in. I hope they walk in going, oh, okay, this is nice and this is fresh and light. And then when they're in the yoga space, I'd like it if they, just kind of like, I keep on sort of doing this, like they've just come down, like coming home or resting down. Even if it's a really big, intense practice, I'd like that feeling to happen. Even the smells that we've chose for the space, like, I want it, it's all consistent. And I want to create that space that people walk in and kind of can settle when they come in.
Sounds like such an intentional environment. It sounds absolutely beautiful. I'm very keen to explore it myself. And what about the classes? How might they differ from a class at a gym or other classes that people might have experienced?
Yeah, thank you. Just as you were saying that too, I remember seeing this big, when I was like umming and ahhing about the studio, I remember driving through this construction site and seeing this huge big poster, and it said, create the space you want to be a part of. And so that's what I've done. So the classes are, there's a range of classes. We've got our really hot and harder intense classes. So our hot power yoga, hot power Pilates, and our hot strength. Then we've got some warm yoga, warm Pilates, which are a little bit less heat, a little bit less intensity, and a warm circuit, which is still quite intense. And then we have our cool and easy movement class and a cool mums and bubs. So the cool and easy movement class is one I'm really excited about because it's meant for people who might immediately go, oh no, I can't do yoga because I broke my hip, or I can't do yoga because I can't bend down, or I can't get up and down off the floor. So it's funny, that class is actually one of the smaller classes and we don't advertise it as much, but that's kind of one of the ones that I'm most excited about as well. So a range of different classes, and I just hope that when people do experience it, they can get, the idea was that they can get everything. So you can come, there's also a recovery class. So you can stretch it out. We use the rollers and like foam balls and things to get into all of our sore spots. So the point of the whole studio itself is that you can come in, get your strength workout, get some yoga, your Pilates, your recovery. We're adding a run club eventually. That's the idea of the space.
And can you talk to me about what the power of meeting people where they're at is in terms of their journeys?
Yeah, I guess just being that person again that people can come into no matter where their journey is. If they're a really experienced yoga practitioner or Pilates practicer, or if they're brand new to something, like that's kind of where I get even the most excited. If you're brand new, you can still come to the space. You can still do any of the classes, even the hot power yoga. And my whole aim is that everybody can feel safe.
I think it's really powerful that you've been able to take a lot of the wisdom that you've learnt on your journey and create such a unique space for people and have this ripple out in such a powerful and impactful way. It's very incredible and such an exciting chapter for you to be in right now.
On a personal note, I just want to say thank you again. Genuinely, without your yoga teacher training, I wouldn't, not just literally be here, I wouldn't have my studio. Like I wouldn't have then gone into teaching. I wouldn't be where I'm at without you. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being so candid and sharing so much of your own journey and all of the very inspiring ways that is rippling into community and into the space that you've created with your own studio. We're very grateful for you for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.